Hey everyone, welcome to Wisconsin Whistle. I'm your host, Dan Dyhard Vachalek. Today we're going to be covering, well, it's going to be, I guess we'll cover some Bucks news, some NFL news as well, some Packers, some Brewers, a little bit of the Bucks. UWM baseball played today, so I'll go over that a little bit. I haven't watched any of their games this year, so I don't know too much about the team, but I will update you on what's going on with them. The Admirals are still alive in the postseason for the AHL, so I'll update you on that as well. As you see, I'm wearing a Blackhawks. I'll tell you a little bit about that on why I have a Blackhawks polo on tonight. I thought maybe you'd be able to see it, but you can't. So still cover that though, and how I became fans of the NHL teams that I am fans of. It's just two teams, and some other news as well that I'll cover. There's some different Bucks things going on. Jim Irsay just passed away. That news came through just a little bit ago, so I will cover that as well. On how that's going to impact not only the NFL but the Colts as well. Just because that is some pretty big news, I think. I'm a big fan of Jim Irsay, or was a big fan of him. So want to cover that a little bit as well. We've got a big show today. Stay tuned. Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all. Hey everyone, welcome to the Wisconsin Whistle. I'm your host, Dan Vachalek, aka Dyhard. So in this show today, we'll be covering, I don't know how to get that in the back, so I'm just the big screen. We'll be covering the Bucks just a little bit. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, was announced earlier today that he won the MVP award. Jokic finished second, and then Giannis, of course, finished third. Jason Tatum ended up finishing fourth. I'll go over the voting on that as well, how the votes broke down, the totals and everything. My thoughts on that MVP race and how I view honestly, I'll just say it outright. I think Giannis should have won the MVP. Not to discredit Jokic or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at all, but I do think Giannis should have won that. So I'll cover that a little bit. Some possible trade destinations for Giannis, as well as him meeting with the Bucks front office at some point this week. Some Packer news, I will cover that as well. Some things that happened in the NFL because they just approved and denied some different changes in the league. So they just concluded their voting on that up in Minnesota, believe in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Also, some Brewer news. They lost today in extra innings, 11-6, I believe. And we'll cover that as well, as they've had a lot of injuries lately, some different things. And then Logan Henderson has been absolutely blazing since he came up and made starts, especially where he made that one start, then got sent down and came back up. So I'll be covering that as well. Charles Woodson also became part owner of the Cleveland Browns. Now, that's not Wisconsin related completely, but there are Wisconsin connections to that I will cover. Woodson did play for the Packers, and also the Milwaukee Bucks owner also owns the Cleveland Browns. So I will be covering that stuff as well. So we got a lot in store for the show. Let's hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we will jump right into the show. You're listening to the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, I'm sorry, I was actually looking. So I knew there was something off about that. I was looking at NBA.com stats. I just wanted to pull this up so I had all the stats available. And it said the leaders was Giannis for points per game and rebounds per game with high numbers. 33 at 15. Gary Trent had 2.6 steals per game, and stuff like that. And AJ Green was second in 3-point percentage, but that was the postseason. So I was going to jump into that, but obviously I was looking at the wrong statistics. So that would have been irrelevant and just made me sound probably just really, really dumb on that. I do want to say you can follow me on X or Twitter at DYHARD. That's my personal account. I share everything, tweet about everything. Doesn't matter if it's Wisconsin or just sports in general. Or you can follow the Wisconsin page, which is all Wisconsin-related stuff, and it's the show page at WISC Whistle IESR. Again, that's at WISC Whistle IESR. So, Giannis finished in third in the NBA voting, NBA MVP voting. And the votes went down like this. So total points for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was 913. He had 71 first-place votes and 29 second-place votes. Nikola Jokic had 29 first-place votes, 71 second-place votes, and 787 total points. Next was Giannis, who had 88 third-place votes, 9 fourth-place, and 3 fifth-place votes for 470 total points. And following was Jason Tatum with 11 third-place, 84 fourth-place, and 4 fifth-place votes. Donovan Mitchell was he had 311 total points for Jason Tatum. Donovan Mitchell had 74. Then LeBron had 16. I don't know how he even got votes. Cade Cunningham had 12. Anthony Edwards 12. Steph Curry, he had 2. For the year he had, that's just name recognition, but they gave him fifth place votes. Jalen Brunson had a vote. James Harden and Evan Mobley all had fifth place votes. So it basically was a race between Shai and Jokic, which I'm not overly surprised about. However, Giannis definitely deserved at least, if bare minimum, regardless of your fandom, bare minimum, he should have had at least 1 or 2 first place and a couple second place votes. Giannis basically led the Bucks once again. Just overall, I mean, he is the leader of the Bucks. He is one of the best players in the league. He's very, very, very consistent. He had multiple stretches that were historic. He scores points just routinely, rebounds, double-doubles, multiple triple-doubles. Giannis is that player that, he's had Dame out. He's gone through iterations where the team has absolutely no defense, and Giannis has to not only play defense but be the leader on offense. There's iterations where it just Doc doesn't know what he's doing with the lineup. Giannis has to, overcome different injuries that other players have, disappearances, all different type of stuff that Giannis really has to deal with. I think Jokic, his team in Denver, is probably a little worse than the Bucks, I'd say, but how they know how to play with each other is why they seem to be better. However, Giannis' stats with points per game, rather, actually outbeat Nikola Jokic. However, Jokic is more efficient, 42.2% to 35.8% ratings. Jokic is probably the closest thing, that I'd say, if you're not going to give it to Giannis, I'd give it to Jokic, because you look at the statistics, and obviously that's not everything, but 29.6 points per game, 12.7 rebounds, 10.2 assists, but 1.8 steals per game is notable, because that's actually top 3 in the NBA in steals per game, top 3 in assists, top 3 in rebounds, and top 3 in points. He's also very efficient, also shoots almost 5 threes a game and makes 41.7% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. Nikola Jokic is like a unicorn type player, where you never just, you never will see this type of player again, especially his size and height. And just, overall, Jokic is just a different type of player. So I have no problems ever with him getting awarded the NBA MVP almost every year, especially when you put up stats like this. I mean, he was 3rd in rebounds, 3rd in points, 2nd in assists, 2nd in steals as a big man. That's just unheard of. Honestly, you just never see that type of stuff. He was the most efficient player in the NBA, actually, based off efficiency. He averaged the 4th most minutes per game in the NBA as well, which does help, but he was efficient in every single minute of that game. Giannis, though, with 30.4 points per game, 11.9 rebounds per game, 1.2 blocks, 0.9 steals. Obviously, he does have 3 turnovers a game, but, shoots 60% from the field, which is, that's incredible. 3-point, he's not good at all, 22%, 61% from the line, efficiency of 35.8, which was 2nd in the league. When you look at the Bucks, though, you look at a team that just needs help, honestly. They got to get younger. They have to figure out what they're going to do with Dame to replace him, rather, because he'll be out all season next year. They have to figure out what they're doing with their coach, and they're going to have a meeting this week that was announced with Giannis to discuss his future. Now, when you're looking at, okay, we're going to look at his future, and we're going to see what's going to happen with that. You also have to address Bobby Portis's contract, because obviously he has a player option that he might deny because he wants more money, but he might jump in. And, after this, he's done. So is Bobby Portis going to be your future down low? He's going to turn 30 in February. Actually, he just turned 30. So, yeah, he just turned 30 years old in February. Is that the guy that you want to run with down low? He's 6'10". You also have Jericho Sims, who's 26, but he has no offense. Kevin Porter Jr., you definitely want to keep. He's 25, young, just played with a lot of heart. He played with just a lot. That's the guy you need to make sure you keep around, Kevin Porter Jr. I definitely think you need to keep Gary Trent around. Obviously, his contract's going to be a lot higher now than it was last season, playing for, I think, like $2 or $3 million, but he's also a young guy. Brook Lopez, you have to move on from. He's 37, going to be 38. Actually, just turned 37. Played 16 seasons, but his defense is completely lacking. He got basically removed from playing at all, really, in the playoffs because he can't stay in front of people. His rebounding isn't there at all. Not that it ever really has been. Taurean Prince is another guy that has to go. He is 31, but Torian Prince has to go because his defense is not good. His offense wasn't there in the playoffs at all. Disappeared a lot in times. He's just not a guy that you need to keep around. Ryan Rollins is probably going to take over Dame's spot. He filled in as a starter for most of the season. I think that Ryan Rollins and Kevin Porter Jr. are going to have to pick up a lot of slack from Dame not being there next season. I also think that you need to figure out starting in camp, in the preseason, and probably the first month or two of the season, who you need to roll with at point guard. Is that going to be Ryan Rollins, who's only 22? Or is that going to be Kevin Porter Jr., who's 25, who does have a little bit of more experience? And when he was starting, like in Houston, he was able to put up 50 points a game, 50-point games. He was able to really contribute offensively very heavily. You also need to honestly address Kyle Kuzma. I think that he can flow in very nicely for the Bucks. I think he has a lot of positivity to him, especially in transition. Things that the Bucks lacked, offensive rebounding. His defense is definitely an upgrade from Middleton. He's really an overall upgrade from Middleton with what you would get with Middleton at this stage of Middleton's career. However, Kuzma in the playoffs, obviously he had that first game where he played, I believe, 22 minutes, but put up zeros all the way across the board. Then he continued that for the first, I think it was like first quarter of that second playoff game as well. And that type of stuff is what's very, very, very concerning to me, because if you can't rely on him in the postseason, but he's a regular season guy, you know, what happens from there? Kyle Kuzma also just seemed to not pick up on threes, shot a lot of them from, you'd watch the game, shot a lot of them, and it just wasn't working. I mean, in the postseason, he shot a total of 10 threes and made 2. So obviously that's not very good. That first game of the postseason, he had 22 minutes, 5 shots, including 2 threes and 2 free throws even, and did nothing. He had 2 personal fouls. That was the only stat he put up on the board. Game 2, he shot 50%, zero threes out of the 3 that he made, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 12 points. Okay, that's a little better, but that was literally his biggest contribution of the playoffs. When you look at Game 4 and Game 5, he played a total of 29 minutes total, which didn't even equal how many minutes he played in Game 2. So he did shoot 11 shots in those 29 minutes between the 2 games, 11 shots and made 3, including 1 3, 1 free throw, and 2 free throw attempts total. He did have a nice Game 5, I guess, for the minutes that he played, 5 rebounds with those 5 points in 13 minutes. However, that's not going to be good enough for what I'm looking for Kyle Kuzma, making $20 million a year. Obviously, getting rid of Middleton and getting Kyle Kuzma does free up some cap space. However, if he's barely playing off the bench in the last 2 games, I don't think that this guy is going to be someone that you could really rely on as your second guy now, with Dame out. Obviously, with Dame in, he'd be third, but for this season, Kyle Kuzma wasn't actually all that bad. Overall, in the postseason, especially in 2021, with the Lakers in 6 games, he played worse than what he did with the Bucks, I'd say. And he had 21.6 minutes back then with the Lakers, shot 29.2% compared to 34% this year with the Bucks, 17 from 3, while 20% from 3 this year. He averaged 6.3 points compared to 5.8 points. Rebounds were very consistent. Offensive rebounds were defensive, just total rebounds, 3.8 in 2020, 2021 compared to 2.2 this year, 1.2 assists with the Lakers compared to 0.8. Less turnovers, which is nice, but 1.3 fouls in 21, 2.4 fouls per game this season. Minus 8.6 for the Bucks in the postseason compared to minus 2.5 for the Lakers. So, the playoffs, he's not very good. Even in that championship season with the Lakers in 2019, 2020, he shot 43% at 10 points a game in 23 minutes, 3.1 rebounds per game, 0.8 assists, a turnover a game, but he was positive 0.8 in the plus minus. 2.4 fouls again that year as well. So, and he shot 43%, 31 from three, and 78.4% from the free throw line. So when you're looking at that type of stuff, he had a negative net rating of minus 21.2 this year. Defensive rebound percentage of 6, usage 17.1, which was lower. Pace was 100.73 this year. Offensive rating of 106, defensive rating of 127.2. So, defensively, definitely an upgrade. Offensively, not really doing much. Pretty much when you looking at, Kyle Kuzma and what's going to go on with him, the Bucks have to figure this out pretty quickly. I don't believe that if Giannis does want to stay with the Bucks and doesn't want to get traded, you have not only this year that you have to have someone step up in that number 2 role, and I don't think Kuzma can. I think you're going to rely more on Porter Jr. to do that. However, after this season, you should get Dame back, and Giannis will only have one more year. So if Giannis does want to just say, hey, I'm going to play out my contract to see what's going on, you have 2 more years where you really have to pull out a ring. Otherwise, if Giannis walks, the Bucks are going to get nothing for him, and they're going to have to retool their entire roster with, again, no draft picks, and they'll have a lot of money, but, they're not going to be set up in the best position. Threes, though, for a career, he's 30% from 3, which isn't too bad. Rebounding 5.7 rebounds per game throughout his career. His last 2 seasons, or actually this season with the Bucks and the Wizards, he was pretty much right there. 5.8 with the Wizards, 5.6 with the Bucks. Did shoot less with the Bucks and the Wizards. However, his points per game was only 0.7 less. Assists were pretty consistent as well. And he had a plus minus actually of minus 0.5 with the Bucks compared to minus 12.6 with the Wizards. Played more minutes with the Bucks than the Wizards as well. Overall for his career, though, I don't think that Kuzma is really going to be a guy that you're going to want or rely on to be that number 2 guy. Kuzma is definitely a role player to me. He's definitely a guy that, just is going to feed off other players, will feed in transition defensively, and just someone that you can't really rely on if you want to win an NBA championship. And when I'm looking at the rest of the Bucks team, I'm actually in the boat. AJ Green's another guy you have to rely on, a big shooter and stuff. Andre Jackson Jr., you're going to have to get him to play some minutes next year as well. Figure out his offense as well. Defensively, though, he is probably one of the best players on the team, along with Jericho Sims defensively and Giannis, of course. But looking at the Bucks roster, unless they really want to do something, they're going to have to trade Giannis. I believe Giannis is going to go up to the front office, and it's starting to really, really hit with me. In the past, I'd say really since I heard the news that they're going to have a meeting this week. So there are some options for the Bucks. Obviously, I think we've covered this before. The Spurs would be a number one team that would be trying to get him to pair him with Wemby. The Spurs do have some players that are on rookie contracts like Stephen Castle, Jeremy Sochan, Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham. They have some big contracts, Keldon Johnson, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell. Honestly, out of those players that I just named, I definitely want Stephen Castle and probably either a Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell. If I do get somebody with some money. The other thing is they have those 2 first-round draft picks. They have the number 2 and the number 14 picks. They also have the right to swap first-round picks with Atlanta in 2026, Boston, which is a top 1 protected at 28, with Dallas or Minnesota if it's 2 through 30 in 2030, Sacramento in 2031. The Timberwolves will send an unprotected first in 2031 to San Antonio. So you have those options right now for San Antonio. I don't think that's going to be the best interest for the Bucks outside of the 2 and 14 picks for this season. Another team that you have to look at are the Rockets. The Rockets actually just made mention this past week that Alperen Sengun is available for a possible trade for Giannis. He has a sizable contract of $33.9 million with a player option of 2029. They have Jalen Green making $33.3 million, player option of 2027. So he's probably roughly in the same boat as Giannis. Outside of that, you have some rookies: Jabari Smith Jr., Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepard. I think those guys you definitely have to look at as well. Fred Van Vliet, it has a team option of $44.9 million. So he could be a free agent. I believe that the Rockets would probably let him walk if they did make that trade. They do have a first-round pick from Phoenix. And, they're kind of on a tightrope with money. However, they are a playoff team with a top 10 pick. They have 9 future first-round picks, including 5 that could be traded over the next 7 seasons. They also swap first with Brooklyn in 27, unprotected first-round pick in 27 from Phoenix, 2 more favorable first-rounders among Dallas, Phoenix, and their own in 2029. Houston does owe Oklahoma City its 2026 first-rounder if it falls out of the top 4. Houston has 7 second-round picks available. So looking at that, I'm not the biggest fan of trading him to Houston. I don't believe that they could offer the Bucks the best outside of players immediately. And the Rockets are not going to trade Sengun, Jalen Green, and get rid of, Amen Thompson plus draft picks. I'm looking more so from the Bucks' perspective of a complete retool of players and picks. So that brings me to the Nets and the Jazz. The Nets right now, I believe, have the best possibility of improving with Giannis. And I think that the Nets would look favorably for Giannis going to a big city in New York. But they have 22 first-round picks available combined outside of the assets or players that both of those teams have to build around Giannis. If Giannis does decide to if the Bucks do decide to trade, sorry, I'm trying to clean this camera, it's getting all blurry. If the Bucks do decide to trade Giannis, you have Noah Clowney and Derek Whitehead on rookie contracts. Nick Claxton and Cameron Johnson are on sizable contracts. The person who I would look for would be Cameron Johnson or Nick Claxton, but I definitely need a lot of picks. Brooklyn has 15 future first-round picks, including 13 that are tradable. That's noticeable. The Knicks owe Brooklyn 3 future firsts, 2027, 29, and 31 with swap rights, and 28 or Phoenix's swap rights. If the Sixers retain their first round pick this season, they'll send Brooklyn a top 8 protected first in 2028. The pick is top 8 protected at 27 if the first and 25 is sent to Oklahoma City. The Nets also have the less favorable 2029 first of Dallas, Phoenix, and Houston. The Rockets also have the right to swap first in 2027, and the Nets also have 15 second-round picks available for trade. So there are a lot of draft picks the Nets can send the Bucks, and I'm looking very favorably for that. I also think that if he does go to the Nets still won't be very good. Probably be a fringe playoff team. Probably won't be very advantageous for Giannis to go out there outside of them being in New York. Well, Brooklyn is right outside of New York, but in the big city of New York, which Giannis does, as made mention that he loves the city of New York. So they have 4 first-round picks, $45 million in cap space. They have the free agent holds of Cam Thomas and Day'Ron Sharpe. So they do have some options that are advantageous. The Jazz now have 2 first-round picks, and they're going to be looked at as a team that is over the salary cap on how they act this offseason. They have $15 million. So it basically says with 2 first-round picks in June and 15 players under contract, expect Utah to act like a team over the cap this summer. They have 13 first-round picks, including 5 unprotected first-rounders with 2 in 2027 and 2029 from Cleveland and Minnesota. The Wolves are also sending the top 5 protected first in 2029. They have 8 tradable firsts, including 2 in this year's draft. The Suns also are sending Utah an unprotected 2031 first. The Jazz have a top 5 protected 2027 first from the Lakers. Obviously, they're going to get that pick because I don't believe the Lakers are going to be a top 5 pick that year. And they can swap a first with Minnesota or Cleveland in 26 if it's in the top 8. And with Cleveland in 2028, the Jazz do owe Oklahoma City a top 8 protected first in 2026. And the Utah Jazz also have 9 second-round picks available to trade. I do not believe the Jazz are going to be any good anytime soon. So I'm looking at Walker Kessler on a rookie contract, Isaiah Collier, Sensenbaugh is another option, Cody Williams, Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, these are all options for the Bucks. They also have Kyle Filipowski on a very cheap contract, other contract. Big sizable contracts would be Colin Sexton, which he's kind of advantageous. There is a guy, John Collins, who cannot be traded unless he opts into his contract, and he does have a player option. So he's definitely a guy I think the Bucks should go after. Is very reliable. Lauren Markkanen as well, another guy I would probably stay away from. Lauren Markkanen, I don't believe he is that leader that the Bucks are going to be looking for. However, John Collins is definitely a player that I would like to look at. I've been interested in him for several years, especially when he's been on the trading block in Atlanta as well. So these are the most likely trade destinations for Giannis. I'd say these 4 teams are more than likely the top players. There is some issues though with the Bucks. They've made 25 trades. They've cost the team 7 first rounds, 3 years of pick swaps, 18 second rounders. The only players remaining from the championship team are Giannis and Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez probably on the way out. Definitely would say he should be on the way out. The Bucks can move, though, their 2031 or 2032 picks. So Giannis, Dame, and Kuzma are earning $130 million of the Bucks' $164 million payroll next season. He's owed $113 million. Dame's owed $113 million over the next 2 seasons. None of this is positive news. Lopez, Portis, Prince, Porter, and Trent could all be free agents. Portis and Porter both have player options. Like I was noting before, Porter Jr., the Bucks have to tell they have to get him to latch on to the team. They need him for the future. Bobby Portis is probably going to latch on. Lopez could go. I have no problem with him leaving. Torian Prince, no problem with him leaving. And Gary Trent, he's going to definitely demand some more money. However, with Gary Trent, there's this $14.1 million non-tax mid-level exception the Bucks have due to the trade with Kuzma and Kyle Middleton. That's going to need to be used. I believe that'll probably be used on Gary Trent. However, I think you can look in free agency and use that as well. There are some wild cards. Obviously, the Mavericks are a team that I would definitely look at. Derek Lively is a guy to look at. Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington. All those guys are definitely players to look at. Dwight Powell has a player option. He's somebody to look at as well. They also have this pick, number 1 pick, Cooper Flagg. Obviously, he was not officially drafted number 1, but that is probably going to be the prime real estate, prime like big flag for the Bucks of this is who they need to draft and get for the future. This is going to be a 15-time plus All-Star. He's going to be the next top name in the NBA. You definitely need to consider this and get, hey, I want some players and I need that number 1 pick. This also helps the Mavericks because Kyrie Irving is probably going to jump back in. They have Anthony Davis, and now you have Giannis. You have those big 3 leading the Mavericks. Now you traded Luka, but you trade for Giannis. They were trying to trade Luka for Giannis from the jump. So you get Giannis with that number 1 pick. I think that's well worth it for the Mavericks. I think Giannis would stay. That's now a team where I'm not going to look at these 3 tradable first rounders and 2 seconds that the Mavericks have. I'm going to look at that number 1 pick. I'm going to look at Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall. I'm going to look at those 3 guys, maybe a Derek Lively as well to add on. However, I'm going to need that number 1 pick and probably 3 or 4 players to make up for those draft selections, lack of draft picks that they have. Another team that is very, very, very unlikely because they're not going to trade in division. However, it can happen are the Pistons. They have Cade Cunningham. That's a possibility to trade. I highly doubt it. Isaiah Stewart's another guy. Jaden Ivey, Oscar Thompson. Those are a couple names to watch for. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit did make a phone call and say, hey, what do you want for Giannis? I know it's a division, so they're going to probably try to really, really gouge Detroit and leave them with nothing. Memphis is another team as well. Pairing him with Ja Morant definitely is not a bad thing. But however, I'm going to be looking for Desmond Bane probably back. Jaren Jackson Jr. is another option that I'd be looking for. They do have some free agents. Marvin Bagley Jr. I might ask for as well. But they do. This is another thing. The Grizzlies have their own first-round pick in the next 7 seasons. They're $7 million below the salary cap. They do have more favorable swap of their own and least favorable swap of Orlando and Phoenix in 2026. In 2030, they have the right to swap their own first with the less favorable between Phoenix and Washington. They also have 7 second-rounders. So Memphis is a team, you could get a lot of draft picks for, but I'm going to need some players. The Pelicans are kind of a wild, very, very big wild card for this. I'm going to need some players. I don't want CJ McCollum. I don't want to be version 2 of the Portland Trailblazers. However, they do have a lottery pick. It's weird they control the Bucks' first round pick for the next 2 seasons already, so they could just send those back to the Bucks. They have their own first round pick in the next 7 seasons, with 4 that could be traded. New Orleans has the right to swap with Milwaukee in 2026. But their players available to trade, I'm not the biggest fans of. Maybe Yefs Missy, DeJounte Murray, another guy, Trey Murphy, Herbert Jones. Those are all guys to look at. Oklahoma City is really that dark horse, though. I think is going to make a run. They have Chet Holmgren still on a rookie contract. Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace is another guy who I'd be interested in. Hartenstein, Caruso, Lou Dort. All those guys are options. Are options for the Bucks. They have a ton of draft picks still. The Thunder have they could trade 13 first-round picks. They have both first this June. They have their own first-round picks in the next 7 seasons, a possibility of an additional 6 first-rounders. They have a top 8 protected first from Utah, top 4 protected first from Philly for 2026. They could swap first-rounders with the Clippers and Rockets. If they're between 11 and pick 30, the least favorable of their own. Rockets, if 5 through 30, and Clippers will go to Philadelphia in 26. The 76ers first is a top 4 protected first in 27, if not conveyed in 2025 or 2026. Thunder could also swap first rounders with the Clippers in 27, Mavericks in 28. Oklahoma will receive a top 5 protected first from Denver in 27, 28, or 29. If the first is conveyed at 27, Oklahoma City will receive a 2029 top 5 protected first from the Nuggets. The pick is top 5 protected at 2030, if not conveyed at 2027. The Thunder have 18 second-round picks as well to use in a trade. So not only are the Thunder probably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA right now, they have a ton of assets to be able to trade for Giannis. They have 15 players entering under contract entering the offseason, with only Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell as free agents, and they're under team control as well. They have Chet Holmgren, Ousmane Dieng, Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace, Nikola Topic, and Dylan Jones, all on rookie scale contracts right now. They have sizable contracts of obviously Shea at $38.3 million, but Isaiah Hartenstein, $28.5, Alex Caruso, $18.1, Lou Dort, $17. This team is absolutely loaded. Why not go after getting Giannis? You can not only trade a couple players, but trade a lot of draft picks and still be looking very good, be able to develop not only through the draft, but also develop your guys that you don't trade. The Thunder are probably the team that is going to be most advantageous for Giannis, is going to be probably the most aggressive team for Giannis as well to pair with Shea. Top 3 in MVP voting for both these players. The Thunder not only can become a super team with just 2 players, but the Thunder could be the next Golden State Warriors and the Chicago Bulls when they were making their runs in dynasties, just with how this team's set up. That is definitely going to be the team that I'm going to watch for to make a lot of noise for Giannis. That's going to be the team that I think Giannis is going to make the most noise to go to. However, for the Bucks, that's not very advantageous. It is very advantageous with what they can get from the Thunder, along with the Mavericks for that number 1 pick and players, or the Spurs for those 2 picks and some players, including the Rookie of the Year, Stephen Castle. There's another team. The Magic are very dark, very, very dark. Philadelphia as well with that number 3 pick, along with, they could get Tyrese Maxey. But I don't think the 76ers are going to be in there at all. Charlotte is a team that has a couple players like Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Mark Williams, Tijane Saloon. Portland is another team with Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, Shaden Sharp, Ayton, Jeremy Grant, a guy who really beat us up, Denny Avdija. That's a guy to look for, some draft picks. The Wizards, they can make a move on as well with Alex Sarr, Carl Carrington, Bilal Koulibaly, Marcus Smart's over there, Rashawn Holmes, Sadiq Bey. I also think there's going to be a third team that's probably going to jump in, look for like the Clippers, Hawks, Warriors, Heat. The Bulls might even jump in. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers, Nuggets, Lakers, or T-Wolves jump in as well as a third team, along with probably the Suns. I don't think Boston or Cleveland even can trade for Giannis with how their team looks, so they're just eliminated. But that's what we're looking for with the Giannis news that came through earlier this week. When he does meet with the Bucks and some news comes out on that, I will make a short video on both my personal account and on the show page, and basically just let you guys know what my thoughts are, what's going to happen and what should happen. I'm not expecting the Bucks to trade him without some news coming out before they do trade him, if that is the case. So stay tuned. A lot of big Bucks news incoming, and I'm still waiting on Doc Rivers to be fired. So hopefully that happens as soon as the playoffs can conclude, because that would just be, just a cherry. I would absolutely love that. I'd be thrilled. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk about a little NFL and wrap it up with the Brewers, who lost today in extra innings, but their offense has looked a little better in the last 3 games, including today. I'd say even their offense did look better with Rice Hoskins hitting the home run, who's been on probably their biggest bright spot of the offense so far this year. You're listening to the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you, from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well, and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports, because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports, exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So, the Packers offered a suggestion at the start of the year, or at the start of offseason, and they put a proposal to ban the tush push. So while they did put this proposal in to ban the tush push, it was originally just to ban the tush push. After the tush push was kind of, that was tabled, before meeting, the Packers rule, and they proposed it to basically where it was going to be a change with the wording and the legal jargon that they put in there, was that any offensive player cannot assist in another offensive player and not only pushing them forward in any way, continuing their forward momentum, or restricting a defensive player from being able to tackle the offensive player. That wordage that they used ruined any possibility for me to be in favor of this vote, just because not only is it now saying, oh, yeah, okay, you can't do the tush push, but there are a lot of plays and a lot of room for the ref to have a lot of leeway in how they make that call. So a lot of Packers plays, including there was one by A.J. Dillon, I believe 2 years ago, where, there was some assist at the goal line, right before the goal line, of some Packer players giving them some assistance from behind to get into the end zone. There's also this thing called pushing the pile, when they get, when they're standing up and they're trying to push forward with a couple defenders. I know the offensive players will get in there and start pushing the pile forward, especially offensive line guys. And that's a big phrase, of pushing the pile. Now, this is probably going to be something that the refs would have looked away from, looked away at, turned a blind eye to certain things outside of the tush push. However, you don't want to leave that up for chance by the refs, because if it's a close game, Austin, this, one thing, how fate and how Wisconsin sports works, this would have bit the Packers right in the ass. So I'm happy this got denied. There were 22 yes votes and 10 no votes. You need 24 yes votes in order for something to pass. So I am happy that this did not pass. This was a stupid rule that Packers tried to create. I have no problems with banning the exact tush-push play. However, what I think the modifications the Packers should have done to the wording of this was keep the tush-push play in, but you need to have a better formation. Your formation cannot have all these offensive linemen jammed together. You need to keep it the same way as all the other offensive plays. But outside of that, I think that this play is definitely all right in my eyes. I think that teams need to not only take advantage of it, but figure out a way to stop it. And there are easy ways to stop it, like having crossers, splitting the gaps between the center and the guards, pounding the center back with the biggest defensive lineman you could find, and absolute size, getting low, different stuff like that as well that you could just pass. However, the one thing that I did not like that passed, I guess it doesn't really matter. They did it 6% of the year, so who really cares? But the onside kick now can be declared. Yes, it has to be declared. There are no more surprise onside kicks, which is no fun. But they moved it up. So instead of the 35, I believe they're kicking from the 36. They only have to go 9 yards now on an onside kick, and they can declare it at any point in the game if they're trailing. I think the NFL, while they care about safety, they don't really care about safety. It's a gray area for them. Tush push is a lot of banging around for offensive line and defensive linemen, especially with their helmets. It's dangerous for the quarterback, dangerous for anyone who's got the ball behind there, dangerous for the players behind them, dangerous for pretty much every player on that field. who's involved in that scrum and in the tush push. Kickoffs and onside kicks had some of the lowest points in play of concussions and major injuries. And yet the NFL continues to attack kickoffs, onside kicks, and the special teams. And I hate that. What the NFL needs to do is put back regular kickoffs from the 30. Stop pushing it when it goes out of bounds all the way to the 35. It's stupid. Leave it at the 25, how it was. Encourage more kickoff returns. Get rid of this dynamic, stupid shit that they put in, because I didn't like it last year. It was no fun to watch. It's still confusing to me because you have this, they can't move until the guy catches the ball, and then they're within 10 yards. They're all on top of each other. It just looks stupid. I hate seeing it. I hate that you have to declare an onside kick. Part of the onside kick that it was always fun for me to watch was when, you just saw a team come out there and, oh, boom, a surprise onside kick. Or they're looking like they're going to kick it off, and then all of a sudden it's, an onside kick. That's the true definition of an onside kick, is the surprise element. You shouldn't give the team, hey, we're going to kick an onside kick. So form all you guys up there, and, yep, there you go. 6% chance of making an onside kick. At least put it up to 25. At least, a surprise, you got probably a 50-50 chance there. But, right now you can't have a surprise. Any onside kicks got like a 5% chance of making it. They're just a waste of time. I might as well not even try, honestly. So I didn't like that. The reseeding, the Lions withdrew that, so that did not pass. Speaking of passing, Jim Irsay of the Indianapolis Colts, the owner and CEO, he just passed away today. Actually about an hour and a half ago, the news came out that he passed away. So my condolences to the Irsay family, the Colts organization, and fans and of the team, including Pat McAfee of the Pat McAfee Show. I know he always had Jim Irsay on his show a lot. He had a segment called What is Irsay saying? It was something like that, but that was always fun. I liked hearing what Jim Irsay had to say when he was on the show as well. I was a big fan of him. I think that the Colts are probably going to have his daughter take over, which I have no objections to at all, because it seems like she's been running the organization, or not so much running, but in the mix for several years, very in depth. Switching topics now to end the show, wrap it up with these last 10 minutes here. Logan Henderson yesterday. Well, I'll start first. The Brewers lost today. They lost, I believe it was 11. I'd have to look, but it was like 11-6. I believe 11-6 in extra innings. 8-4. No way. Could have swore. Okay, sorry. It was 8-4 in 11. That's where I was getting the 11th. So Adley Rutschman had a 3-run home run in the 11th inning. They had 4 runs in the 11th, and they won. They snapped an 8-game losing streak. Baltimore is 16-32 on the season. Brewers went down to 24-26 now with that loss, but they did score 4 runs. Jackson Chourio had an RBI single in the 10th. Caleb Durbin had a 2-out RBI single in the 9th that tied the game. And Rice Hoskins also had a home run. Ryan O'Hearn, he's on my baseball fantasy dynasty team, baseball guillotine fantasy baseball guillotine league. I left him on the bench, so he went 4 for 6, had multiple RBIs, 2 runs as well. But the Brewers, in losing, did run through a lot of they ran through a lot of their bullpen. And Pat Murphy did speak after the game and said, with how the Brewers have been playing and dealing with injuries, that's not really ideal. But they had to do what they had to do. Chad Patrick didn't get through 5 innings. Then you had Zastrinski, who they just traded from, I believe, the Yankees. He pitched 2/3 of an inning, looked pretty good, allowed 2 hits, had a strikeout. Then Grant Anderson had 2/3 of an inning, only 4 pitches needed for those 2 outs. Nick Mears, he was actually credited with a blown save. He allowed 2 runs on a guy who's actually looked very good this year in an inning and 2/3. Joel Payamps came in, had a walk and a strikeout, needed 16 pitches to get 1 out. McGee came in. I honestly don't even know who that is. Easton McGee, he must have just got called up. Yeah, he just got called up on Sunday from AAA. He's pitched well in AAA, posting a 3.44 ERA, 1.10 WHIP, and 20-9 K to walk over 18 in the 3rd innings on 13 relief outings. So that is who that is. But he pitched an inning, had a strikeout. Trevor McGill pitched an inning, and then Tyler Alexander pitched an inning in which he allowed 3 earned, 4 runs, 3 hits. So that wasn't good. However, the Brewers did get some offense in this series. They beat the Twins 5-2 on Sunday, won Monday 5-4, won Tuesday 5-2. So their offense is looking a little better. However, they're still 14th in runs scored, 24th in batting average, 28th in slugging, and 21st in on-base percentage. So their offense is, again, not playing very well. Their pitching is not doing very well either. 19th in earned run average, tied for 27 in quality starts with 10. 14th in batting average against, which is about league average. Obviously, 30 teams are in the top half. 1.32 WHIP, not good at all. A bright spot for them is Logan Henderson, who became the first Brewer ever to go 3-0 in their first starts. 23 career strikeouts, represents the second highest total ever by a Brewer in their first 3 career starts. And another stat that I thought was interesting was that, let me pull it up. He is the only MLB pitcher in the modern era to strike out 7+ batters and earn the win in each of his first 3 career appearances. First pitcher in Brewers history to be 3-0 after first 3 outings of his major league career. And Pat Murphy had to say, this kid, he's been great every time out, not just good, great every time out. And I have to agree, he's been fantastic. Another guy who I think the Brewers, he's got to get added to the 40-man though, but Jacob Mizorowski, in his last 5 starts in AAA, he's had 30 and 2/3 innings, 0.59 ERA, 0.73 WHIP, 6.3 walk percentage, 34.2% strikeout percentage, and a 147 batting average against. This man needs to get added to the 40-man and called up now, especially with injuries. Quintana still needs a second opinion. Also, Brandon Woodruff is going to be making is going to go do a rehab assignment in AAA when he should be coming back into the majors is unknown at this stage currently. And that's pretty much it for the Brewers news. They are dealing, obviously those injuries on offense or on the pitching staff is definitely a very, very big sign of concern. Quintana is supposed to throw a bullpen session Tuesday, or was supposed to throw one on Tuesday, and then he's going to do so again Friday for the Brewers to determine what's going on with him. Aaron Savale is going to make his 3rd start over the rehab assignment yesterday with AAA. Woodruff slated to do rehab assignment tonight is what I've read. So we'll see if that happens. Tyler Black He's making a rehab assignment with rookie level Arizona Complex League. So, some injuries going on. Hopefully the Brewers can get their team pretty much back together, especially their pitching staff. I'm really looking forward to Woodruff coming through. I want to get Quintana back. Quinn Priester didn't look too bad in his last start. Definitely a upgrade. Abner Uribe has been really picking up very nicely lately in the bullpen. Joe Piamps has seemed to turn stuff around as well. Trevor McGill, he's looked pretty good. Logan Henderson is a staple of the rotation, and he needs to stay up there. It's just about right now staying healthy and keeping consistent offense. Jackson Churio, it definitely needs to make sure he keeps his bat moving, stop striking out, because that's just not positive. We don't need more strikeouts, and we'll see what goes on with the Brewers moving forward. Thank you for listening to everyone of the Wisconsin Whistle on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport. I'm Dan Vachalek, a.k.a. Dyhard, D-Y-H-A-R-D on Twitter. See y'all next week.